So I just wanted to talk about the situation with my mum and how she kind of changed when she got into conspiracy theories and the QAnon movement, etc., and how she sort of went from very liberal to right wing. And I don't think a lot of people understand that these sort of anti-vax things and the conspiracy theories and whatever are very closely affiliated with right-wing views and movements. And I don't think they even realize it when they're swept up. The people that are swept up into it, I don't think they realize. But it was very recently she started tweeting stuff that was very homophobic. And it's so strange to me because my sexuality was never ever an issue for my mum. She used to have like gay best friends growing up in like the 70s and 80s, and it's very out of character for her to suddenly have such opposite views to what she used to believe in. She confronted me when I was back home recently and said how disgusting I was, the stuff that I was putting on Twitter and whatever else. And this is not news to her. This is not news to anyone, you know. And it was just such a strange thing because it was such a odd confrontation to have someone completely flip their opinion on you and on your life and on your identity and who you are and what you do, particularly obviously someone like your mother, to completely change their mind. It was like I didn't even know who that person was anymore.
So this TikToker by the name of Just Sam Morris tells a really heartbreaking story about their own mother being propagandized so much over the span of just a few months, to the point where she completely had her entire worldview turned upside down, to the point where she's literally going after her own child, calling them some sort of monster. And this is really terrifying, but it's something that we really need to understand. You see, the right wing uses incredibly manipulative tactics where they will pretend that they're for one thing, or they're used benign ideas in order to lure people in to their absurd conspiracy theories. Take, for example, a simple discussion about how rich people have too much influence in politics in the United States today. This is something that I think we all understand to be fundamentally true. Of course, the United States works for big businesses. But you see, right wings will use memes that sound similar to that. They will come very close to saying something along the lines of, oh, it's billionaires and Wall Street investors that are giving money to political campaigns in order to get them to do things that they like. Or things that are very similar to the idea that politicians have money in the stock market and that influences their votes. But it's a little bit off. And you'll notice this. They'll use words like globalists, they'll use words like elites, but they won't really talk about capitalists or capitalism. So what do they mean? Well, you see, right-wingers will use language that is adjacent to criticizing capitalism, but is actually designed to divert people into anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. That's why right-wingers focus mostly on people like George Soros, instead of, people like Jeff Bezos. They focus on George Soros because George Soros is Jewish, and they are trying to create a connection that simply is not there, because once again, they are trying to prop up anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. So they tap in to the working class resentment for the fact that politicians are not doing what working class people want, but instead of operating from a position of reality that maybe it's just profits, maybe people in Congress and billionaires just both have a mutual interest in profits, and it's not actually some sort of like conspiracy theory. No. Instead of operating in reality and criticizing capitalism, they turn it into a ridiculous, over-the-top, incredibly anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Because without a critique of capitalism, it's very easy for a lot of people to get swept up into conspiracy theories. And with so much anti-communist and anti-socialist Red Scare propaganda that's out there in the world, a lot of Americans are hesitant to critique capitalism because they feel like they're going to be attacked by all of these vicious weirdos on the internet, or even be alienated from their friends and family for having a discussion about how capitalism is evil.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Yes, I am watching the kangaroo court about January 6th, but keep this in mind. Our election was clearly rigged to start this new world order where every country has to be on board, say the world bankers. As for Adam Schiff and Jamie Raskin, they both knew before they ever walked up to that podium that Hillary Clinton paid for the fake dossier. They colluded with a lie.
The best way to help conspiracy theorists is to treat them like they're addicts, because they are, and I'm going to tell you why. So my mom is addicted to conspiracy theories, and I'm visiting her right now, and it's all just like very, very like at the front of my mind. So this is something that I'm thinking about a lot. So basically, a few months ago we tried to make some progress on this by, going to like family therapy and stuff, and just trying to get to some sort of middle ground. And I found this therapy group that has counselors that specialize in something called conspiracy theory addiction. It's this clinic out in Oklahoma. And as soon as I started reading about it, it made a lot of sense to view conspiracy theorists in this way.
And one of the more interesting things about human nature is our ability to become addicted to practically anything. And just like my man pointed out, people definitely become addicted to conspiracy theories and just conspiratorial thinking in general because, like you said, it kind of makes them feel like they know something that other people don't know. But also, you have to, kind of put in work in order to maintain your beliefs with whatever. You have to see proof of whatever you believe. Otherwise, you're naturally going to start to question it. And we feel uncomfortable when our, foundation of beliefs seems to not be quite right. And so, living in a time where we have access to limitless information and the search algorithms work the way that they do, as people try to reinforce and, reassure what they believe, they can just endlessly look up this crap video on YouTube and that crap video on whatever 4chan or whatever Chan, platform they have. And then they can, watch all types of conspiratorial documentaries. There's an endless source of this type of information for them to get their hands on.
The high that conspiracy theorists are chasing is the high of being in the know, of knowing something that everyone else doesn't, of not being one of the sheeple, and of finding others that have also similarly been woken up to the reality of the world as they see it. So that's the high, and they need treatment for it.